G'day there folks, I'm Beanie, you're watching Beanie Draws, and I'm here with part 2 of this drawing of cute Mosasaurus playing with a little beach ball. This time we're going to be going through the rendering and shading, so I'm going to go through that in a little bit more detail than what I usually would do, so if you want to watch that, let's get to it. Okay, well for the next part of this video, I am going to do a little bit of an unboxing of this. It's a Derwent little case of pencils. Maybe I should do it like that. It's basically a little tube thing of all these different pencils ranging from 6B to 2H. This is definitely designed more for rendering. So where do I open? Ah, there we go. Got a little perforation there. Okay. Oh, that's a satisfying tear. I just saw this at my local art store. I don't know where else you'd get them from. You could probably get them from from Derwent's online website, I guess, maybe. But okay. So there's a little press button there to keep it up. Ah, slips up. Ruler, an eraser, and a sharpener, and all these pencils. And these pencils are basically what I'm going to be using for rendering this, because then you can lay them nice and flat on the sides. I think I will go with a 3B. The sharpener that comes with this pack is kind of crap, so I'm going with my old trusty Faber-Castell sharpener instead. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it right on the flat side of it, with low pressure. Basically what I'm going to be doing is just imagining one side is light, the other side is dark. And if you also kind of look at how my hand is moving, like there's this kind of holding pose to, you know, for a sharper, harder line. Then there's this kind of, you know, holding the pencil like this. More or less like, you know, that kind of angle, which I use to put a nice light spread along the page. And then if you want to have a curved line going like that, I've got my pencil going in between my pointer and rude finger, and just using my thumb to kind of just give a bit of balance. I find this is a nice way to have the pencil as kind of flat as an angle as possible, and still giving it a lot of control, and using my wrist motion to get that sort of rounded sort of flat spread of lead. The other thing I find is really good for rendering is a good old finger. That way I just kind of get the pencil floating around the page a bit. This can tend to make your artwork a bit messy, but as you can see there, it's got a really nice smooth gradient going on. But yeah. If you want to keep your fingers nice and clean, just wash your hand afterwards. But I find having a slight smudge going on, spreading that lead out a little bit, is a nice way to get a nice, very, very, very subtle rendering style. Like here, I'm barely even putting. See, around here what you can do then, because it didn't leave much lead, I just put in a very light amount of lead. Think of it kind of like spreading a little bit of paint around. So you just want to put a little bit of lead there, and then smudge it out. I think I was taught this in primary school or when I was very, very young. It's very messy but very effective. I mean, you can use a you know, rendering pencil that's, you know, basically made of paper, and then just use that paper to smudge it around. But I like just getting in there with my fingers and just getting all nice and dirty and organic. So I'm just putting some rendering down there. I'm just having the shadows kind of closer to the body, and then lightening it out as I get to the end of the flippers. And then smudge, a little bit of a smudge, a little bit of a smudge, a little bit of a smudge. Around there I needed to put more pressure on. Sometimes you need to put more pressure to get more of a smudge, and sometimes you put in a little bit less pressure to get less of a smudge. I'm not the biggest fan of wooden pencils though. I don't know, there's something about wooden pencils that just isn't precise enough for my liking. Okay, that was 2B, now I'm using 3B. So you can see with these pencils you get a lot more of a thicker, harder, darker line than you would with a mechanical pencil. So it's kind of good if you want to go for like even more detail. Generally I just prefer mechanical pencils, but I might use this pencil just to add in some extra darkness. To make it even lighter I have to have a lot less pressure on the pencil. I'm going to put in a little bit of pencil or lead on one side of these spines, and then if I even can, so around here is probably where it's good to have like one of those blending pencils, blending paper pencil, because then you get a bit more control. But generally for widespread rendering I just go with a finger. Right, so I'm gonna put in darker lines at the bottom, and I'm leaving the lines at the top lighter for a bit of contrast, maybe. Just see how this thing evolves. Life will find a way. And like so. I'm quite happy with this one because I did try and do a recording of this previously, and that video was bad. So this is that official video. Then what I'm going to do is put a line in there, a few lines I should say. Going to put in a bit of a line under there for the shadow of the eyebrow ridge. Probably put in a little bit too much black there, I think. Just going to take a bit of that black out. So I'm just going to put some shadow in the mouth. That's what else I don't like about wooden pencils. They break easy and they require more sharpening, and I don't like sharpening, and The other thing I don't like about wooden pencils is you get a nice uneven sharpening. I hate that about pencils, and to be honest that's generally why I just go with mechanical pencils. Darkness there, just a bit of contrast. Might as well use the dark pencil for the pupil. Gonna put in a very light amount of pencil there for the eye. Smudge it out a bit. What I might do actually is just put in a little bit more pencil in there. Because a cool little trick is then we erase bits of it for shine, just to make life a little bit nicer and glossier. I just refine that a bit more. Probably should render the ball a bit better, so I'm just going to put in a little bit of pencil on one side of that ball, I'm thinking I'm going to colour this too very lightly as well. So a bit of rendering on one end of the ball and leaving the top end of the ball not rendered. Bit of a finger blend just to smooth it out a bit. And then I might put in a bit of shading on that side, bit of shading on that side, bit of shading on that side, just to add a little bit of sharpness, refine that line, adding a bit of darkness into the shadowier part, bring those teeth out, so add more darkness to the teeth so they come out from the ball so we can see them. Try and see if we can get a bit of contrast using darker lines there, bit of contrast there. Just going to add a little bit more shadow there, a little bit more shadow there, shadow. Probably could actually put in a bit of shadow underneath the stomach, to be honest. So I'm just going to put a light layer there, a little bit of extra layer there, so it kind of makes the stomach ball look a bit more like a ball. Blend it out. Blend it out there. That way you also get less of those stroke effects. And more tidying up. Actually, got to tidy up that bit too. Sometimes if you have too much lead on your finger though, you'll sometimes lose a bit of your friction, and then it's just kind of sliding around rather than smudging around. That's when it's best to wash your fingers, or what I do is just move to another finger. Just be careful not to put your hand around the page too much, because then you're just going to spread your lead everywhere. Tidying it all up. Now I'm just going to add little bits of line just to help with the contrast. And I'm putting just little strokes of pencil there, just for a bit of darkness, a little bit of stroke, gradually getting lighter, just for a bit of a sketchy vibe. Probably should put some more texture. Yeah, I'll just put some quick little texture lines up here for the back. Not a huge amount, because it's a cartoon, so I'm just going to put some kind of big little scales here every now and then, just very lightly too, as you can see. Just putting some very light textured lines around, just to give it a little bit of something, like I did with the Indominus Rex cute version. Might put some little lines there every now and then, just for like some little texture, some little flapper lines. I'm just going to put in some little lines here for the mouth. Nothing too significant, just a little bit of something. And I'm quite happy with that. So I'm probably going to do another video at some point of this, but vectored, so I can make it as a t-shirt, so you guys can wear some cool Mosasaurus art, because I think, the little Mosasaurus having fun in the water. Oh, speaking of water, probably should just add in, maybe just put in a few little bubbles. Babies! Some bubbles. So I'm just putting little round circles with a little round circle for a shine, like so. I just randomly scatter them. Some of them are big, some of them are small. Don't have to think too much about it, just make it organic and random. And finally, I'm just going to spread out a bit of blue. I'm not going to colour the whole thing blue, just a little bit for a bit of contrast. And I might actually use this as a sort of a two colour thing. So I might add a little bit of blue in there. Not a huge amount. Oh, that's right, I wanted to do the ball. I'm going to put a little light bit of blue in the tail. A light little bit of blue in the flipper. You can barely even see it. That's the whole point, is to be subtle. And I'm going to put a little bit of blue in there. Just a little bit. A little bit of harder blue there. I'm not worrying too much about the perfection of the bubbles. There you go. Sorry about that. I had the color intensity low, so it made the drawing a bit easier to see. But you couldn't see the blue that I was doing. So I'll give you a few moments just to kind of look at what I did with the blue. So you can see I've made it shadowy and dark near the actual character, which I'm going to call it now. I'm just going to call it a character. And then it gradually gets lighter and lighter to the point where you can't see any color out in the edges. And that way you get a nice bit of framing and contrast, and a little bit of light blue in there, a little bit of light blue in the body, a little bit of blue in the head, and that. And I'm going to put in a little bit of red in this one. So I'm just going to color that in red. So you can see I've made it a bit darker in the middle and then lighter at the top, and then I will do a bit of the same there. So there we have it. As I try and put out all the little bits of perfection, I think I'll leave it there. So this is how the final product looks like. Hopefully you've learned a bit from this video. I do actually plan on doing a bit of vectoring. Maybe I'll make a video out of that, we'll see how things go, but keep an eye out on my Redbubble store, BEANARTS. Search for that on Redbubble. I'll probably put a link on the descriptions below, but keep an eye out for that. I'll be making this into a t-shirt and some stickers probably. But otherwise, if you learned something from this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Cheerio for now.